Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kim and today I'm bringing you my second update for my rolling TBR project. I do these updates about every 3 months and now let's do it again. The last one I did was back in March, and since March I have read 11 more books off of my TBR shelf. I started with a grand total of 83 books on my bookcase for my physical TBR books. And now I'm down to 43, so that is awesome. Almost in half, I think. I'm not very good with the math ends of things, but nearly in half. I know part of that is I have decluttered or unhauled 16 books. I really hard looked at the bookcase to determine which books I was not interested, absolutely was not interested in reading, probably would never pick up, and all they were doing is collecting dust on my bookshelf. So I decided to go on and take those off, and then I did, I believe, an unhaul video of those books as well. And then my first update, I read 16 books. Now I've read 11 more, so that is great on that end. And I know in both updates, I know I have DNF'd a few books here or there that I've tried. I gave it my all, and they just didn't work for me. And I have another video. I'm almost to the point that I have enough books to do another DNF video. I try to do those about every 3 or so months, or when I get enough books that I've ended up DNFing and not wanting to finish. Then I'll do one of those style videos. Okay, so I'm making awesome progress. Even with the additions of these Brandon Sanderson books, I'm still doing really well because I was really worried about it when I did these 3 plus this one and the Mistborn trilogy. I was kind of worried I went too far the other way, but I'm even lower than from my last one, so I'm excited about that. Alright, so I'm not going to go into a lot of depth because I know a lot of these books I've talked about either in a review, individual review, or I've talked about them more in my wrap-ups of the books when I finish them for that individual month, and I don't remember month to month when I read each of these books. But yeah, so let's go on and get into it, and we will get started. Okay, so one of the first books that I did finish this round, this is Cell by Stephen King. I believe I either gave it a 3 or 4 star rating at the time that I read it. It was probably one of the more interesting books that I've read from him. Of his newer work, I still love his old work like Misery, Pet Sematary, Silver Bullet. Those books, I think The Shining I need to read, and maybe one other of his older works. But this was decent. I didn't really care for the ending, but a lot of times his endings normally don't make sense. This one kind of did, but I still wish it had a different ending than it ended up having. But yeah. So 4 or 5 star rating. This book, this is Bad Blood by Demitria, Lunetta. I went into this book not expecting to like it at all because it is the high school YA style book, and those are the typical ones that I hate, that I just don't get on with. However, this one is different. It had a lot of deeper themes behind it. There were some psychological or mental disabilities going on that she was going through and trying to overcome. So there was a lot of deeper things in it, not just I don't like you because, or the mean girl, or those type of things. So really ended up loving it. I think it was a 4 or 5 star rating as well. I have quite a few books out of the Throne of Glass series that I managed to read. I read these books, and these are whopper books, like 600 plus pages. Typically, I read them in like 3 days or less, depending on the book. So I absolutely love this series. This is Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. This is doubled up also in my Romanceopoly, so you will see it as well in that update. But yeah, I enjoyed this book. 5 star rating for all of them, I do believe. The next one that I ended up finishing out also was the Queen of Shadows, and I got cat fur all over them because she marked on them, rubbed up against them to claim them. But yeah, the Queen of Shadows, Sarah J. Maas, same thing. Love these books. will read them again probably next year after I get some time away, and then I will do reviews on them on my reread. Empire of Storms, love this one as well. It's shorter than all the other ones, but still a very good read. 5-star for me on that. This is probably, I think I ended up either giving it a 4 or 5-star. This is Tower of Dawn. This one offshoots and goes on Chael's story versus following just strictly Celaena's. The main character out of all of the other ones, Celaena's, I know, the alter ego. So yes, so I enjoyed this one, not as much as the others, but still it was a great story. And then definitely big one, Kingdom of Ash, again Sarah J. Maas. I think I absorbed this one and might have taken me 3 days. I don't think it took me 4. I mean, I literally absorbed these books as soon as I got my hands on them because I was so into that series. Okay, so that is my first stack of books. Next one, this is the first book out of the Mistborn trilogy. They renamed it Mistborn, but it's real, if you look it up, it's The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. This one took me a little bit longer to get used to his writing and his writing style and how he develops the world. But once I hit my stride on it, I absolutely fell in love with it, and I'm now currently on the 3rd book out of this trilogy. But yes, highly recommend it. This is adult fantasy. If you're looking into getting into it, I would start there. So this is Possessed. I believe this is a YA. I think I gave it maybe a 4-star, 4 or 5-star. I can't remember. Still a great book. It was dealing with possessions, and there was a lot of twists and turns. You didn't know who was being the conniving backstabber and who was doing all, and it's by Gretchen McNeil, if I didn't tell you that earlier. I'm still looking into finding other books by her that I'm interested in reading because this one actually very much intrigued me about this author. So if you have read any of these other books and stories by some of these authors, I would definitely highly look into them. So leave me some of your recommendations down below. Next to the last book I think that I finished out of my 11 books. This is The Hunger by Alma Katsu. This is a historical fiction book with some paranormal elements thrown in. I went into this not knowing the background historical event, the Donner Party. So about halfway or almost quarter book left of it, I did go back and do a little bit of research, and she follows the events pretty closely and then added some twists and turns to make it kind of a horror historical fiction book. I'm still looking and figuring out which book of hers I want to read next, but I will get those maybe next month. But yeah, I've highly enjoyed this book. This one I believe came in my Thrill Box or Thrill Club box. So I was not sad on that one, but I enjoyed it way more again than I thought I would because I'm not normally a historical fiction reader. That one kind of intrigued me enough that I want to read more from it. And then the very last book that I finished, this is The Well of Ascension, again by Brandon Sanderson. This is the 2nd book out of the trilogy. Wow, did this one. I think I enjoyed this book even more than I did the first one, because I already had the background knowledge of it, of the world, so I could just focus in on just the plot and the story and the character development. It was so good. Yes, I enjoyed that book so much, and I'm enjoying the 3rd book equally as much. I have a feeling I'm going to cry when I'm done with the series because I've enjoyed it so much, and I'm looking forward to his other books, but I will be sad to leave this world that he has created. But anyways, I hope you have enjoyed today's update on all 11 books that I have managed to read in the last 3 months. It's been a crazy time. Had pneumonia part of the time this was going on. So yeah, but I'm still very proud of all of the books that I did manage to read. If you did enjoy this video, give me a thumbs up. I hope you would consider subscribing if you have not already. And until my next video, I hope you have a good one. Bye.